Alright guys, here we go again, another little how-to video. We've had some people request specifically video on mounting tires and wheels and foams. Like the last video, reiterate, I know Uncle Joe and Uncle Fred and whatever probably does it a particular way. I'm not saying this is the only way. The techniques I'm fixing to show you is what I have found to be successful here at Team Gator Racing. First thing is the wheel itself. Most people don't realize that the wheel itself can actually affect the performance of the race car. A lot of these cheap wheels have a ton of flex to them, and when the tire hits the racetrack, the bottom of the wheel flexes and it reduces the tire patch on the racetrack. Something to keep in mind. I feel like the best wheel ever produced was produced by Silverback RC. They are not available in the United States, but you can order them off the internet. I think they're out of Australia. It takes a week or two to get them, but they're fairly economical wheel, and I think one of the best wheels ever produced. Also like the old HPI 5-star, which is every now and then you can still find a few of them in stock. I think Dave's had some in stock if they hadn't sold out recently. But anyhow, Silverback RC wheels. I know some people like to use a wood screw. I like to use a regular screw. I think these are I forgot off the top of my head. Yeah, that's a number 3 screw. It's about 5/8 of an inch long. Anyhow, so I like to take a drill. The bottoms of the holes are solid. I like to take a drill. Do not make the hole any bigger. You just want to knock the bottoms out of it, which I've already done. Just drill it right quick, knock the bottoms out. That way when the screw, if it happens to bottom out, it don't strip your threads out. The next thing, wipe it down with some brake cleaner or acetone or something, get a clean surface, and then we're gonna scuff it. I'm gonna show you on the lathe how I like to scuff them. All right, so I'm using a lathe, but you can just simply put a wheel hub in a drill and do the same thing I'm fixing to do. I like to use a 36 grit. It's really coarse, but it does a really nice job of texturing the wheel. Here we go, we're gonna grind this wheel. Just make a fast pass across it. There you go, nice rough texture. I'm not really taking any meat off of it, I'm just texturing it good so the glue can hold good. That's it. Okay, so that's before and after. You can see the difference in the texture. So that good texture gives the glue. It's always hard to get glue to adhere to plastic, so that just increases our odds of making it stick and hold permanently. All right, so the next thing, the glue you use. I've used everything from Gorilla Glue, urethanes. The best thing I have found is tire glue. I'm partial to the Losi tire glue that you would use on 8 scale to glue the rubber to the wheel. The biggest thing I've learned is use fresh glue. If it's something's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months and it done got thick and whatever, it's probably not going to work very good. Dave's does carry this glue, but any good quality tire glue, I think the Gorilla Super Glue works okay, but I'm pretty partial. I've had really good luck with the Losi tire glue. So I'm going to put this thing, I'm going to do it kind of like an onion, if you will. I'm going to do it in layers. I'm going to do the back third or the back half of the flat part of the wheel first, and it's kind of a one-shot gig. I'll do a test run first, usually put my foam over the wheel, make sure it sets fine. That right there is what you don't want to happen, because when you glue it, it's you got to be quick when you slide it down over the glue. Help prevent that, you can kind of roll that back a little bit there, and it'll stay for just a little bit. All right, so here we go. I'm not being stingy with my glue, just doing that back third. I'm gonna roll pretty daggum quick with this because this glue dries fast. All right, taking the foam, I'm gonna line the tabs up, line them up good. Here we go, baby. Whew, got lucky. When you go down with it, when you commit to it, you gotta go. So the bottom third is glued, So now just come in from the top here, and I'm gonna go, you can look in there and see right where your glue stopped. I'm gonna go right back to the center, and I'm gonna work my way out. I'm gonna make a round all the way around, being fairly generous with my glue. All right, I'm back to that layer. I'm gonna move up a layer. And as that tire, as the foam pushes back flat on the wheel, it runs it right back up the wheel. So you actually wind up with a pretty good bit of contact. I've seen people just want to glue the outside edges. That's not gonna hold up. This is glued and put on with intentions of never coming off. If you ever want to get it off, you can put it back on your drill or your lathe and take a grinder and get it off. Is the only way you're going to get it off. But it's not going to come apart in the middle of the race and take you out of a race. I'm more worried about that than having to worry about the day that I do have to take it off. I'm working that glue till it comes right. You can see it starting to come up now, out of the, right up to the top of it. The outer edges is probably the most important. You want to make sure that very outside edge is glued. All right, this foam fits the wheel really good, so you don't have to worry about having contact. Now I'm going to flip it over. This is one thing I think people overlook, is this small outer lip right there. You definitely, it takes the biggest abuse, and it's the first place that a foam usually comes apart inside the tire. So we definitely want to glue that. Sometimes it can go real smooth, and sometimes it can be a bear. Of course, I'm on video, it's going to be a bear. Here we go. Just get it to open up and just milk it down in there. Of course, you know by the time you get finished, you'll have 11 out of your 10 fingers glued together. You know you hadn't worked on tires if you don't get finished with tire glue all over your fingers. All right, I'm back to where I started. Just another little trick I'll do. That edge sometimes don't push down good. And a little surprising piece of information is super glue does not stick to saran wrap. I didn't know that until about a year ago. Anyhow, so the main reason I put that on there was to push that edge right back down tight. And so now we're gonna wait a few minutes and let the glue dry. All right, so we've had time for our super glue to dry. Edges are all stuck good. So the next thing that I like to do, especially if it's an older foam, if I change tires or whatever and the foam starts getting a little roughed up, but I'll do it on a new tire as well. Flex Seal Clear seems to work better than, I know you would think there wouldn't be much difference between the black and the white, but the clear for some reason penetrates and adheres to the foams much better. So it's pretty simple. Just pretend you're painting, put you a good liberal coat on it, and what you're doing, you're just putting like a candy shell on it that keeps the tire from chafing and eventually wearing out your foam. We're trying to build this whole tire foam and everything so that we don't have to look at the inside of it again for a while. You can kind of massage it in. That's the reason while I was on the break, I went ahead and put my gloves on because I knew I was fixing to get nasty. And all of a sudden it just looks like it's gone, but it actually just soaks in. It just adheres into it. Now you can put, let this coat dry and put 2 or 3 coats if you'd like, especially if it's going to be a right rear tire and you know it's really going to take a beating. But look at that, it just soaked right in, and it only take it maybe 5 minutes. It'll be completely dry and we can finish building the tire. All right, so we got our Flex Seal dry. So the next step that we're going to do is baby powder. The reason we're putting baby powder is because this inner liner is always running and chafing on the foam. It'll wear it out or turn it, ruin it eventually. So if we can reduce that chafing, which baby powder does, then it should last longer. So we're just going to put us a little bit on the foam. It's going to help us also. This is going to help install the tire on the foam. And I'm kind of liberal with it. I go inside the tire, as you can see, and maybe got a little too much there. All right. And then another thing I like to do, would be a personal preference. I occasionally, at the end of a weekend or whatever, I wash my tires with water. But you can't do that if you're going to get water inside the foam. So in order to be able to do that, I use this 3M Super 77, and I put a coat on the bead locks, both inside and outside bead lock, and that seals it watertight so that you can wash your tires with water. I know a lot of people just do them from the outside with a brush or real sparingly, but if you do this, you can get mad at them with a water hose and they'll be just fine. So we're just gonna come in here. Now I'm not gonna lie, it can get messy. Nothing that you can't clean up. Like I say, it's personal preference. It does also, RC for Less was what started me doing this. They were bad about pulling their tabs out under high speed conditions. And this also glues the tire, the tabs on the tire to the wheel, but yet it's not glued so hard that you can't dismount it. You still can dismount it. It just sticks it in there, but it is removable. So we got a nice layer of glue, both sides, and this is the new BSR tire. So everything's powdered up good, but it's a belted tire, so you can't just flip it inside out. What I found works good is just kind of halfway line your tabs up, put it in there, and then pull that top edge back up over it. As soon as you get it over the edge of it a little bit, you've got it then. Lay it flat on the table and just pull it down. This same process will work on the TIT belted tire. I hear of a lot of people struggling with that tire, getting it on. If you do it like that and put a little baby powder, boom, no problem, goes right on. Just come back to this back side and flip your tabs out. Now that's the first of the new BSR tires I've ever mounted, so I was hoping there wasn't gonna be no hiccups here. The tabs don't quite line up, so all you gotta do is just put a little pressure and rotate that around. Boom, the tabs line up beautifully. Push them down in there, push your tabs in good. That 3M will, you gotta be kind of quick, because that 3M, the longer it sits there, the tackier it gets. It can be your friend. At one point it's your friend, and it kind of helps hold it in there, but if you don't get them in time, it can get kind of tacky and make it a little bit more of a challenge. All right, so they're in place. The hard work's over. Like I say, I'm not opposed to someone using wood screws, but these screws here is my personal preference. I buy them 1,000 at a time from Fastenal. I wish I had the exact size for you. I've done enough of these. I've kind of got, you get a feel for your own tools. I don't care if you use wood screws or these. You can strip any of them out. It just takes, and some people like to use a drill with a clutch and just turn their clutch down, and whenever it gets to a certain torque, the clutch will slip. I did that for years. I think it's a great idea. I've just kind of got used to my own little impact here, and I've got a good feel for it. And all right, for time's sake, I'm going to leave a few holes there empty. Jump over to the back side, line my back bead lock up. There again, I'm going to skip a few holes just for illustration purposes here. get about 3 in it to hold it in place here. And I'm gonna grab some brake cleaner. Some of that 3M is probably gotten on my inside here while it's still fresh. I'm gonna come in and clean out my wheel. Make sure I get that 3M off while it's still nice and wet and easy to remove. Once it dries, you still can get it off. It just takes a little more elbow grease. And voila, there we go. Brand new BSR tire mounted, ready to go to Greystone in 2 weeks. One more little tip. So we sealed it up. It's airtight now. So when it builds heat, it's gonna want to blow up. So you have to come back and put a vent hole. I just use a 1/8 drill bit. I go halfway between my 2 bolts and I'm gonna come right in tight. The idea is to try to catch this area right here. Use it as an air void. When the foam slides up in, I'm gonna try to hit right there, right against the back of that wheel is where I'm gonna hit. So I'm gonna take my drill, put a 1/8 hole right there. You can hear the air coming out in it. So we know it's vented. Voila, ready for the racetrack. Max, I hope that helped you out, buddy. If you have any questions, hit us on Facebook, and hope these videos are helpful to you.